It all began with one click. One small, almost invisible action, yet it would change the way billions of people access information forever. This isn't a story of grand battles or epic speeches. It's a story that unfolds in a quiet, cramped room with the low hum of computers and the smell of stale coffee. A story of how a single moment, just 8 minutes long, became the foundation for one of the most powerful companies in human history. Let us rewind to a cold November evening in 1996. We were inside a dorm room at Stanford University. The walls are stacked high with books, papers are scattered across the floor, and complex diagrams are scribbled all over the whiteboards. Wires are tangled in every corner, keyboards are littered with post-it notes, and empty coffee cups are everywhere. This is the world of two young students, Larry Page and Sergey Brin. Outside, the campus is quiet. The wind rustles through the autumn leaves. Most students are asleep, completely unaware that inside this small, cluttered room, history is being made. But Larry and Sergey aren't sleeping. They're hunched over a single computer, tense but completely focused. Their eyes dart between the lines of code on the screen and the mathematical formulas on the whiteboard. For months, they had been working on a revolutionary idea. A search engine that could do more than just count keywords. They were designing a system that could actually understand relevance, an algorithm that could rank web pages by their importance and authority. It was a project that aimed to bring order to the chaotic, sprawling wilderness of the early internet. Ambitious, risky, and incredibly complicated. And on this particular night, for the very first time, they were about to test it. Imagine the tension in that room. Larry's fingers hovered over the keyboard. Sergey leaned in closer, his breath held. One query. One press of the enter key. That was all it would take to see if their months of sleepless nights would lead to a breakthrough or a complete failure. Larry typed in a search term and hit enter. The screen blinked. For a second, nothing happened. The room seemed to hold its breath. Then, slowly, the results started to appear. But these weren't just any results. They were accurate. They were ordered. They were relevant. They were perfect. The algorithm had worked. That first click, that first search, had succeeded. That single moment, which felt like an eternity to them, made long minutes of suspense, became the invisible cornerstone of a company that would one day dominate the world, Google. In the hours that followed, they typed in more queries, and each new result confirmed that their creation was real. They found small mistakes, of course, lines of code that needed rewriting, parts of the algorithm that needed tweaking. But with each correction, they were getting closer to perfection. The feeling in that room was a strange mix of excitement, terror, and pure awe. Could this really work? Could something born in a tiny dorm room actually grow into a tool used by millions, and eventually billions of people? Every successful search was like a shot of adrenaline, pushing them to go further. Over the next few days and weeks, their project, codenamed Backrub, began to grow. It started quietly. A few friends at Stanford tested it. Then some professors caught wind of it. Soon, other students were using it instead of the established search engines of the day. The number of queries increased, more data was collected, and with every single click, the algorithm became smarter and more precise. Larry and Sergey worked through nights fueled by coffee and energy drinks. They argued over lines of code, debated logic, and tried to anticipate every possible problem. It wasn't easy. Their servers would crash, sometimes multiple times in a single night. But each crash, each setback, wasn't just a failure, it was a learning moment. They faced challenges that went far beyond just technology. When they tried to get funding, investors were skeptical. Competitors laughed at them. The web is too big. A project like this will never work, they were told. But Larry and Sergey persisted. They were fueled by a powerful combination of curiosity, stubbornness, and the undeniable thrill of discovery. Every time a line of code worked, every time a query returned a meaningful result, it was validation. It was proof that their months of relentless work were worth it. By the end of the year, their small project had outgrown the dorm room. The first users outside of Stanford began to test it, and they were amazed. This new search engine seemed to understand what they wanted better than anything else online. Soon, tech blogs started writing about it. Investors who had once been skeptical were now paying close attention. The cramped dorm room had officially become the birthplace of a revolution in information. Think about what this meant. Knowledge, which had once been scattered, hidden, and difficult to access, was on the verge of becoming instantly reachable to anyone, anywhere on the planet. But this story isn't just about technology. It's about the human element behind it. The choices, the doubts, the tiny decisions that made all the difference. Every bug Larry spotted in the code, every moment of hesitation Sergey felt before pressing enter, every late-night debate about whether to keep going or just give up, all of it shaped the final outcome. Their algorithm could only work if every single piece fit together perfectly, and every piece depended on these human decisions. Now, imagine for a second a different world. A world where that first query had failed. If those 8 minutes had been a dead end, Google might never have existed. Think of the ripple effect. Without Google, there might be no YouTube as we know it, no Gmail, no Android operating system, no Google Maps. The incredible advances in AI we see today, many of which are built on Google's research, might not exist in the same way. The lives of billions of people, millions of careers, and entire industries could have been completely different. And it all hinged on that one small moment. One decision. One click. We often imagine history as something loud and dramatic, great battles, powerful speeches, or monumental events that everyone witnesses. But sometimes, history is quiet. It's invisible. It's subtle. It's shaped in small rooms in fleeting seconds by actions that seem completely insignificant to the outside world. That dorm room, that night, that single click, that was history being made in silence. It was the power of curiosity, persistence, and courage all condensed into 8 minutes that would alter the future for billions. Back in the room, as the first successful queries circulated, the air was buzzing with a mix of fear, excitement, and disbelief. Larry's mind was racing. Is this really happening? Sergey, with his calm determination, replied, "We can't stop now. Every second counts." They refined the algorithm, started building a massive database of the web, and prepared for the immense challenges they knew were coming. Each success fueled more experimentation. Each failure taught them a vital lesson. Slowly but surely, their project became an unstoppable force. Those 8 minutes of suspense eventually led to Google becoming one of the most influential tools in human history. Information became democratized in a way no one had ever imagined. Entire industries were transformed. Communication, education, business, and scientific research were all revolutionized. And it all started there in a single, cramped dorm room with 2 students and one small, decisive action. So next time you type something into a search bar, take a moment to think about that scene. The flickering screen, the tangled wires, the hum of the computers, and the nervous anticipation of 2 students who dared to ask, "What if?" One click, one decision, one moment of courage shaped the world we live in today. The lesson here is clear. The smallest actions can have the largest consequences. History isn't only made in grand halls or on battlefields. It can be made quietly, invisibly, in the tiniest corners of the world by the simplest of gestures. And sometimes, those gestures echo through eternity. The 8 minutes that created Google are a powerful reminder that even the smallest spark, when nurtured with vision and determination, can ignite a revolution. One click can change the world. One moment can alter the course of history. And that is exactly what happened in a small dorm room at Stanford in 1996. A moment almost invisible to the world, yet monumental in its consequences, forever shaping the way humanity accesses, shares, and understands knowledge. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the moments that changed our world. See you next time.